Third down and 21. Four-man rush. Prescott.
The Detroit Lions are absolutely terrifying right now, and the rest of the NFL should be shaking. Let me tell you something. There was a time, not long ago, when saying the words Detroit Lions and championship contender in the same sentence would get you laughed out of every sports bar in America. People would look at you like you just said the earth was flat or that a hot dog is a sandwich. But something has happened in Allen Park, Michigan, and if you haven't been paying attention, you need to stop whatever you're doing right now. Sit down and listen very carefully, because the Detroit Lions just wrapped up their 2026 mandatory minicamp, and what came out of those 2 days of practice is nothing short of jaw-dropping, pulse-raising, goosebump-inducing football news that should have every single team in the NFC absolutely terrified. We're talking about a roster so deep, so loaded, so absurdly stacked at nearly every position that reporters covering the team are running out of adjectives. Coaches are running out of first-team reps to hand out because there's simply too many good players. And fans, Lions fans who spent decades suffering through some of the most painful, soul-crushing football seasons imaginable, are now sitting here in 2026 trying to figure out where the holes are on this team and coming up almost completely empty. Let's start at the very beginning of the news cycle, because the Lions didn't even wait for minicamp to start before they started making moves. Right in the middle of everything, Detroit went out and signed not one, not two, but 3 wide receivers from the UFL in a single day. Lucky Jackson, Tay Martin, and the guy who was the talk of Michigan football circles, Tarik Black, all came aboard in one swoop. Now, Tarik Black is a name that's going to ring a serious bell for anyone who followed Michigan Wolverines football. He's a big, physical receiver who had all the tools but just never got a sustained opportunity in the NFL. He bounced around, found his way to the UFL, and kept putting in work while the football world largely forgot about him. And then, out of nowhere, the Lions came calling. Tay Martin had a successful UFL season with 42 catches, 483 yards, and 2 touchdowns, finishing third in the entire league in receptions. These guys aren't just warm bodies being brought in to fill roster spots. They are experienced football players who have been putting in work in a professional league and staying sharp while waiting for their NFL shot. Detroit now has 12 healthy wide receivers on their 90-man roster heading into training camp, with Martin, Jackson, and Black competing primarily for practice squad spots. That tells you everything you need to know about the depth of this team. 12 wide receivers on one roster. The Lions are essentially running their own mini football league just in the receiver room alone. Now let's talk about what actually went down on the field during those 2 days of minicamp, because the highlights coming out of Allen Park read less like a practice report and more like a dream sequence for Lions fans. You have Jared Goff, who is absolutely in the prime of his career right now, slinging the ball around with the kind of crisp precision that reminds you why Detroit built their entire offense around this man. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown doing Amon-Ra St. Brown things, which means making every single route look effortless, every catch look routine, and every cornerback trying to cover him look slightly confused and a little bit embarrassed. St. Brown had 2 standout plays during situational work in minicamp, including a catch along the sideline to convert a 3rd down and a touchdown grab in the red zone with DJ Reed in coverage. That's your number 1 receiver, operating at the absolute peak of his powers in a non-contact minicamp, just casually making elite plays like he's warming up in the backyard. And let's not forget about Jahmyr Gibbs, who is entering this season with a massive chip on his shoulder and an even bigger role in the offense. Gibbs is rumored to be in position to land a market-resetting contract extension with the Lions, possibly as soon as this offseason, and he participated in all voluntary workouts without any indication of being a holdout threat. This kid is hungry. He wants the ball. He wants the contract. And based on everything coming out of minicamp, the Lions want to give him both. With David Montgomery gone, Gibbs is the guy. And when Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy, defenses have a very serious problem on their hands. But here's where things get truly wild. And this is the part of the story that keeps Lions fans up at night in the very best way possible. One of the biggest storylines coming out of minicamp wasn't about an established superstar. It was about a rookie linebacker out of Michigan named Jimmy Rolder, who absolutely nobody outside of hardcore Lions draft circles was talking about as a potential Week 1 starter. Rolder has come along faster than expected during the offseason program, and there's now a real case being made that he could be the Week 1 starter at the will linebacker position. He's a 4th-round pick. He kind of came out of nowhere at Michigan before the Lions drafted him, And now he's flashing the kind of instincts and athleticism that has people legitimately debating whether he beats out a veteran for a starting job before he ever plays a regular season snap. Rolder has all the desired instincts to play the will position, and his minuscule missed tackle rate from college should translate well to the professional level. The kid had an interception in minicamp. A rookie linebacker, in his first mandatory minicamp, is already picking off passes and turning heads. Welcome to Detroit, Jimmy Rolder. Then there's Ennis Rakestraw, the cornerback who has been plagued by injuries through the first 2 years of his career, but is now healthy and has started to show exactly why Detroit was so high on him coming out of the draft. Rakestraw continues to build positive momentum heading into his third NFL season, and with Terry Arnold limited, Rakestraw has been receiving first-team reps at cornerback. This is a guy who, when healthy, has all the physical tools to be a legitimate starter in this league. And the Lions secondary is going to need him, because Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, 2 Pro Bowl caliber safeties, are both dealing with injury concerns. But here's the kicker, and this is the part that should make every Lions fan feel absurdly good about life right now. Even with 2 Pro Bowl safeties potentially unavailable, Detroit added Chuck Clark and Christian Izien to their safety depth this offseason. Chuck Clark is a man who has played 123 NFL games. He is a legitimate starting caliber safety who has been in big spots and handled business. If Kirby Joseph or Brian Branch can't go, the Lions trot out Chuck Clark and life goes on. That's depth. That's the kind of depth that championship rosters are made of. Now let's talk about the offensive line, because people tend to sleep on this unit, even though it is literally the foundation of everything Detroit does on offense. The Lions drafted Blake Miller with the 17th overall pick with intentions of making him the right tackle of the future, and by all indications, he's taking all the right steps at this stage of the offseason. Sports Illustrated a first-round offensive lineman who is already locking down first-team reps in minicamp. The left guard battle is shaping up to be one of the biggest competitions of training camp, with Christian Mahogany and Miles Frazier fighting for the starting spot. And Penei Sewell, who has made 3 straight All-Pro teams, is now making the move to left tackle and is doing so with the kind of calm, professional confidence that you'd expect from one of the best offensive linemen in football. Cade Mays is showing improvement at center. This offensive line, when it all comes together, is going to give Jared Goff all day to throw and open massive running lanes for Jahmyr Gibbs. And that is a genuinely nightmarish combination for any defense in the NFL. On the defensive side of the ball, Aiden Hutchinson is fully recovered from his injury and looks like himself again, which is devastating news for every offensive tackle in the NFC North. The Lions intentionally went out and acquired players with more length and athleticism on their defensive line, adding DJ Wonnum, Jay Tufele, and rookie Derek Moore to complement Hutchinson and Alam McNeil. The defensive end rotation is deep, it's versatile, and it has the kind of pass rush potential that can absolutely change games. And then there is the special team situation, which deserves its own moment in the spotlight, because people don't talk about special teams enough, and they really should talk about what the Detroit Lions have going on in this department. Jake Bates, the kicker who became a national sensation, drilled a kick from what looked like 64 yards during minicamp. 64 yards. And according to reports from the field, the man has leg strength to push that number even higher, potentially to 70 yards. 70. And then you pair that with Jack Fox, who is one of the best punters in the entire NFL. You have 2 elite special teams weapons who can single-handedly flip field position, ice games, and change momentum. Most teams would be thrilled to have one of these guys. Detroit has both. Let's zoom out and look at the big picture here for just a moment, because the story of this Detroit Lions team is actually one of the most remarkable stories in recent NFL history. This was a franchise that was the punchline of the league for decades. 0 Super Bowls, legendary levels of heartbreak. Fans who kept showing up anyway because that's what Lions fans do. They are loyal in a way that honestly defies rational explanation. And then almost overnight, everything changed. A new coach, new culture, new talent, and suddenly Detroit was not just competitive but legitimately terrifying. Then came a year of inconsistency, a year where it felt like the pieces were there, but nothing quite clicked the way it needed to. But what's coming out of this 2026 minicamp suggests that whatever was clunky before is getting smoothed out in a very significant way. Dan Campbell reiterated after minicamp that he feels very good about the roster and believes there will be some of the best competition he has had since arriving in Detroit. When Dan Campbell says he feels very good about something, you listen. This is a man who operates with an almost unreasonable level of authenticity. He doesn't do fake confidence. He doesn't spin things for public consumption. When Campbell says the competition is going to be the best he's seen in his time with the Lions, that means the talent level across this roster has reached a new high. In the wide receiver room, good grief, the wide receiver room. You've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has been the NFL's leader in receptions over the last several seasons and is now fully in his prime. You've got Jameson Williams, who by all accounts looks faster than ever and is entering his own prime years after battling back from injury. Isaac Taslaw, who scored 6 touchdowns on just 16 catches last season, is expected to take a significant leap in his second year, giving Detroit a genuine red zone threat and deep ball option to pair with St. Brown. And Taslaw himself, to his credit, is refusing to get comfortable. He's keeping his edge. He knows the competition is real, and he's showing up every day to prove he deserves that spot. Greg Dortch is in the mix for the WR4 role. Jackson Meeks is now making a fascinating transition to tight end, with Dan Campbell intrigued by his size and athleticism. And Rocky Yassin, the cornerback who's signed back with the team and has been quietly playing at a starting level based on performance grades, is another guy the Lions deserve credit for recognizing and retaining. The depth chart at nearly every position on this team is remarkable. The running back room now includes Jahmyr Gibbs, newly added Isaiah Pacheco, Sione Vaki, and Jacob Sailors. The tight end room has Sam Laporta, who when healthy is one of the best young tight ends in the game. Jack Campbell at linebacker is arguably one of the best players at his position in the entire league. Terrion Arnold, when he returns from his injury limitation, gives the secondary another elite piece. The Lions have built something here that goes so far beyond just having a few good players. They have built an organism, a system, a culture of competition that makes everyone on the roster better because they know if they slip up, somebody is right behind them ready to take that spot. This is what sustained success looks like in the NFL. You don't just build a team. You build a roster. You build depth. You build competition. And then you go win. The Detroit Lions are not done building. Training camp is still to come. Pad will go on. Real contact will happen. Positions will be won and lost. But right now, in the middle of June 2026, coming out of 2 days of mandatory minicamp, the picture being painted in Allen Park looks like something Lions fans have been dreaming about for their entire lives. The question everyone keeps asking is, where are the holes? And the honest answer, the one that even the most skeptical and cautious analysts are arriving at right now, is that it's genuinely hard to find them. You could maybe point to needing Derek Moore to develop faster than expected on the defensive line. You could note that the safety room is dealing with injury questions. But then you remember that even with those concerns, the Lions have plug-in starters ready at those positions. Chuck Clark walks in and starts at safety without missing a beat. The defensive line rotation is deep enough to weather early season growing pains. Detroit Lions football is in a beautiful, complicated, wonderful place right now. The kind of place where fans are almost afraid to enjoy it too much because of all those years of pain. But this team, this roster, this coaching staff deserves to be celebrated. They deserve the hype. They have earned it with late nights in film rooms, with years of building the right culture, with smart drafting, savvy free agent signings, and an identity that now runs from the very top of the organization all the way down to the practice squad. The Detroit Lions are coming for 2026 with everything they have. The league has been put on notice. And if what we saw at minicamp is any indication of what's coming when the real games begin, this is going to be an absolutely electric season to watch. So here's what I need from you. If you're a Lions fan, if you're a football fan, if you love seeing a once struggling franchise rise up and make the whole league nervous, smash that like button right now. Leave a comment below telling me which player you're most excited to watch this season. Whether it's Jimmy Rolder making a surprise run at a starting linebacker job, Jake Bates bombing 70-yard field goals into the stratosphere, or Amon-Ra St. Brown continuing to be the most reliable receiver in football. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, what are you even doing? Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, because we're going to be covering every single move this team makes all the way through training camp, preseason, and into what could be the most important Detroit Lions season in decades. Don't miss a thing. We'll see you on the next one.